right, we are ready to welcome our next presenter. Representing Team Banana Leather is Jinali Mody, originally from Mumbai, India, and is a Master of Environmental Management candidate at Yale University. Jinali, welcome. Hello, good morning. Are you feeling ready?
Yes.
Excellent.
As ready as one can be.
Yes. Good luck. The stage is yours.
Thank you. Hi, everybody. I'm Jinali, and this is Isabel, and we're excited to be presenting to you all today. Before I begin, I want to tell you a little bit about myself. So I completed my undergraduate degree in India in chemistry, and then I worked in corporate India for 3 years. I came back to grad school at the Yale School of Environment to study sustainability, to make a difference to the problems that I've experienced firsthand, which include piles of waste everywhere, cities choking with air pollution because of crop waste burning, and rivers filled with toxins. And I'm excited to show you a solution that affects all three of these problems. So what are we really doing? We've developed a novel technology to convert banana crop waste. This is the part of the tree that is left after the fruit has been harvested. And we convert this material into what you see on the right, our banana-fibre leather, Banofi. And we're the first and only company to have developed a technology to do this. So why are we doing this? The leather industry is harmful to animals, workers, and the environment. One cow leather handbag requires 18,000 liters of water to produce, and the carbon equivalent of charging 18,000 smartphones. But this is just one part of the problem. 90% of leather is tanned using toxic carcinogens like chromium that are then deposited untreated into rivers that are known for causing multiple public health issues. In comparison, our material has a 95% reduction in water use, a 90% reduction in carbon emissions, and a 100% reduction in toxic waste. So how are we doing this? We are tapping into the 100 million tons of banana crop waste generated in India alone to create a material alternative. 80% of this plant, by weight, is left or burned or wasted every harvest, and we want to use this resource. So we've currently partnered with 30 smallholder farmers in Kolkata in India. These are pictures from one of the farms where we work. And these farmers typically collect this waste, pile it up by the side of their field, and burn it because it causes a lot of problems like mosquito breeding, waterlogging, higher incidence of snake and scorpion bites. And so it either leads to air pollution because it's burned, or it's taken to a dump yard and leads to methane emissions. And so what we are doing is developing a solution, and we're going to pass around some samples of what this material looks like. So the material that you will see is vegan and cruelty-free, looks, feels, and smells like animal leather, upcycles waste, and is available in a variety of colors and textures that mimic crocodile, cow, sheep, goat, and other leathers. So what is this material in front of you made of? And I want to talk about these synthetic additives. So these include adhesives, paints, and antifungal coatings. And the reason why we've used them is, given the budget that we had, we wanted to create a functional material, and we wanted to prove that we can create a leather alternative from bio-based sources. Now that we have done this, our goal is to create 100% biodegradable, bio-based material. And so our focus over the next 6 months is to substitute a lot of these synthetic materials for natural additives. So we're going to pass around some samples to show you the progress we've made on the bio-based materials. As you can see, these materials are slightly stiffer. They don't perform as well. They have work to do, but we have a roadmap to get there. So this material, for instance, we're collaborating with one of our professors at Yale University who's developed a lignin-based biopolymer that biodegrades that can provide us with the flexibility of some synthetic alternatives. We're also talking to a lot of startups that are doing cutting-edge work in the space of natural paints and natural adhesives to make our material a lot more biodegradable. So what is our end-of-life process? We envision a take-back program, so partnering with brands that have extended producer responsibility so that they collect back this material. We need to work on system-wide change because a bag has a number of components, so designing for disassembly is important. We need to work on 100% recyclable material where we've already made a lot of progress in R&D scale, and we want to take that to pilot. So this includes a process that's followed in animal leather where scrap animal leather is shredded and fused together, and we can replicate that with our material. It just leads to a stiffer material right now, so it has to be used for hard-bound leather goods. And we're also working on 100% biodegradable material by substituting our materials, our synthetic ingredients. So this material has gone through extensive testing, tensile strength, tear strength, adhesion, abrasion, chemical testing to ensure that it's chromium phthalate-free, unlike animal leather. We've done lifespan testing, and we're also certified by PETA as a vegan material. So I'm excited to say we have traction. We're a B2B material science company, so we're partnering with brands who can convert this material into products that look like this. So these brands are around the world. We've shipped some samples to them, and many of them have actually outsourced manufacturing in India or China, so it makes it easier to work with them. These brands have been creating bags, belts, and wallets, and giving us feedback to inform our R&D process. These are some images of the bags. And what we've realized when working with fashion brands is it takes a long lead time from the time that we send samples to the time that it gets into stores. And we wanted to develop a proof of concept faster. So we generated these notebooks for Yale University, and we've sold and generated $16,000 in revenue just in the last 4 months. This proof of concept has helped us generate revenue that we're funneling back into R&D and helped us understand material feedback as well. So there's a growing need for sustainable and environmentally friendly alternatives. We've seen the fur industry rapidly transition, the dairy industry is transitioning, and we believe leather is now ready to transition. There are other bio-based leather alternatives, but they're using technologies like cultured animal cells, genetically engineered bacterial cellulose, lab-grown mycelium, or new grown material, versus what we're doing is very different. We're using local plant-based ingredients. We're using an oversupply of accessible raw materials. We have a low-cost setup in India, which is one of the leather hubs of the world, as well as the agri-hubs of the world. And this makes us a lot more sustainable, but it also makes us a lot more affordable, which is crucial to scale. So we've made a lot of progress in a short time. We started about 2 years ago with our on-ground research, and last year we won about $40,000 in grant money, because of which we could go back to India and set up a pilot facility. This involved registering a company, renting a space, buying some machines, figuring out the supply chain of crop waste, and even collaborating with universities like the Central Leather Research Institute in India, which is the largest leather research institute in the world, and working with material scientists, polymer scientists to really improve this material. We began active prototyping, and I'm excited to say this December we got incubated by the Ministry of Agriculture in India for our work with smallholder farmers and our work to decrease air pollution that's caused by crop waste burning. And this April, we started talking to a top 3 automotive player and a number of luxury fashion houses as well that are interested in this material. So the Wege Prize comes at a crucial time for us. We want to invest in taking that R&D that we've done on 100% circular material from a lab stage, which is a 2x2 square, to a pilot scale, which is larger. And so that is what we would spend 50% of this on. The other 25% would be spent on R&D investment to develop our own natural pigments, natural dyes, so we're not dependent externally on some of the expensive cutting-edge technologies. And then the other 25% would be upgrading our makeshift setup to create a material that has the process consistency around thickness and color. So this is some of the machinery that would be required. And I'm excited to say by 2028, if we're just 0.01% of the leather industry, we could save the carbon emissions that would be equivalent to planting 3.6 million trees and the water consumption of 15 million people. So we are the right team to take this forward. I lead operations. I graduate next week from Yale, move back to India to do this full time. The rest of our team is from New Zealand, the US. Isabel leads R&D. She's working on sourcing a lot of these circular alternatives. Maggie heads finance. Kendall comes from wide fashion experience, so she's helped us with a lot of these brand partnerships. And we also have incredible advisors. And so thank you so much. Thank you for the advice. Thank you for the organizers. Thank you for letting us present. And I'm really excited to show you the materials that would make you go bananas. Yeah.
Jinali, great work. Congratulations. We'll let the judges chat for a few minutes. Let's us talk. Tell us about the plastic recycling startup that you worked with in India. Very interesting.
So right before I came to school, I've always cared about waste. This was a startup that was an app that provided rag pickers and people who worked in scrap to provide them with fair information on pricing, because as a commodity, plastic prices change every day. A lot of these smaller rag pickers are at the mercy of larger recyclers, and so providing pricing transparency can help them improve their margins by 1 rupee a day, which is very little, but it's really can help them make it a viable business and improve recycling rates. So that was the startup. It's called Plastic Scrapwala. It's still up and running in India, and they've been helping us source some of our waste too.
Good, great model too. That's so important right now. Well, thank you. This is vegan, by the way. I'm in vegan leather for sure. But as somebody that loves leather, where was your inspiration around banana leather? Where did that inspiration come from? And how did you inspire your team as well?
Yeah, so I think the leather industry is interesting. There's animal leather, there's vegan leather, and I will say majority of vegan leather is plastic.
Yeah.
And so we need to, and that bio leather is just hard to do because you want a material that lasts long, but you also want something that performs well, but is also biodegradable. So there's some inherent challenges. And I saw this company working on mushroom-based leather in California, working with luxury fashion houses. And as a consumer that wants to be sustainable, it was very unaffordable for me to ever be able to buy them when they moved from R&D to. And so I was like, why can't we create this affordably so that it can be scalable? And so that was the inspiration. And then everyone just jumped along on the way. So Kyle and Maggie did the LCA. And once they did that, they were like invested. Kendall started talking to fashion brands. Isabel is a student of industrial ecology. So she's been involved with our R&D. And so pretty much everybody jumped along the way. And so we were a great team that can take this forward.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing all of that.
Yeah.
All right, judges are ready for you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Hi, Jinali.
Hi.
Congratulations on graduating and also on the progress that your team has made so far. Something I'm curious about, you mentioned the partners that you've been working with in the fashion industry. What has been some of the feedback that you've received so far, and like how are you all adjusting to that feedback?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've received a lot of feedback. The first samples that we sent got fungus because it's a bio-based material. The color would leach off. They would have problems around when you'd stitch, you'd see the inner material, which was a different color from the top material. So a lot of this feedback was things that we hadn't solved for, but we have now, and through continued R&D, we've been trying to develop that. We've also actually sent these brands some of the bio-based samples, and unfortunately, it's just very hard to work with. It cracks. So the goal for us is how do we make it so that then there are no switching costs for a brand? The same machinery that's required for leather or the same techniques can be switched automatically into this that would allow for transition. Yeah, thank you.
I have a follow-up. What is your biggest barrier or challenge in the R&D side right now? What's the most difficult, wicked thing you have to work on?
I think it's just balancing the longevity that people expect when they look at leather versus biodegradability and circularity. And so those two somehow inherently conflict in some ways. And so whenever we take a decision, we're like, but this isn't, how do we weigh both those options? And that's kind of the big R&D challenge. Longevity.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I have a question around scaling. So you are reliant on waste as an input. I'm curious of how, but you also have ambitions to get into all these brands globally, et cetera. What does this current supply chain that you are reliant on allow you to get to in terms of scale? And do you have plans to go beyond the current amount of waste that you have access to?
Yeah, so if we use, thank you for asking that, we've done the math, and so if we use the waste, banana crop waste in India alone, we can replace all leather globally everywhere. So there is no shortage in crop waste, which is great, and it also provides additional income for the farmers that we're working with, so it's a little bit of a win-win. Yeah, thank you.
I had banana for breakfast, and I'm going banana now. So. Tell me about your pseudo-stem
Yes.
a collection and processing process?
So
I assume you get it after harvest, right? Once they get the banana
Yes.
fruit out,
Yes.
right? And banana ripens at that different time,
Yes.
not the same time. Okay, please.
So before I tell you that, I think we actually use wheat straw as well, which is seasonal. And so in 2 months, you have to collect all the wheat straw. And so we found it harder. Whereas banana crop, the waste is available throughout the year because it fruits throughout the year. So that was a big advantage from a transportation emissions point of view as well. And so that's how we chose banana. So the waste is available throughout the year. We take, except 2 months, but we take the pseudo stem. And initially we were using 10%, so we'd extract the fibers. But now we've developed a process over the last 6 months to use 100% of that pseudo stem. So we extract the fibers, we dry it. The rest of that material, which is 90%, is also dried to a mulch-like material, which is then mixed with some of our binders to create a composite. That composite is then fused with this fiber to give it that strength. And then it's bound with additional materials like rubber, tree sap, gum arabics, some synthetic material, and then that blend is fused onto a cotton backing. And then that material is then treated the same way leather would be, with paints, antifungal coatings, and then pressed with heat and pressure to give it the embossed look.
Just to follow up on
Yeah.
that, you have more than 90% water in it.
Yes,
What do you do with that?
it's sun drying. Our process requires a lot of sun drying, so 3 days of sun drying to get the material that.
The water that comes out when you take the fiber and the water, because banana pseudostem has
Yes.
over 90% water in it.
Yes, so it's a mechanized process to extract the fiber, and then once we do that, we sun dry it because there is a lot of moisture by weight. Yeah. Thank you.
Hi, Jinali. Great. I loved your presentation, and it's really fabulous to see somebody doing something so innovative and actually intercepting the organic matter and making and creating value. But obviously, from a circular economy perspective, the key to this is to actually return those nutrients to the biocycle. Take-back scheme, really important part of your offering. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and how you're actually going to work with your partners to ensure that you get the organic matter back?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's 2 parts to it. One, the recycling and the take back, and the second, which is the biodegradability. The focus is to make this material 100% biodegradable in the next 6 months, and we have a roadmap to get there. We've also developed samples today that are 100% biodegradable. They just aren't as good in terms of quality, so we know it's possible. But on the take back side, a lot of brands, for example, Adidas is saying, come back, give us your shoes, we will recycle them, or we will repair them and send them back. And so brands are making a lot of these commitments that go in line with working with a brand like us that is able to take that material back, convert it into a new material for a new shoe. And so that's what we're assuming for the take back. So we've also started some conversations because we attended the Sustainable Apparel and Textile Conference, where we met a lot of sustainability heads from these brands. And the focus for them, even more than biodegradability, was circularity. How can we limit the amount of waste? And so for us, working with brands that have that extended producer responsibility, that work on design for disassembly, because there's so many components that go into a shoe apart from just the leather. It's the sole, it's it's just so many other things. And so making sure that that material can be taken apart and recycled. So across the board, from take back, design, it's a holistic endeavor. Yeah. Thank you. Well, we know we have work to do, and that is something, hopefully once our product is also, when we have more traction, we're going to develop that as well, so we'd understand practically how that would work.
Thank you, Jinali. I have a question about the social impact. You said that you have a huge community of workers in the leather sector in India. And you also said that you've got plenty banana leaves to take over the market. So how will that impact those leather workers?
I don't think leather is going anywhere overnight. And so I do believe that industry, leather is expected to grow at 10% year on year. So I don't think that, but bio leather is expected to grow at 120% year on year. So it is a space that we hope will also initially start to replace the synthetic and fossil fuel-based leather material. In terms of the social impact of our venture, our little shed is in between banana farms. So a lot of the 6 people who we've gotten on our team who used to be daily wage workers used to all work in some odd jobs in the farms. So they've been connected, and so they're all now looking at, we're very conscious about employing women, working with them, training them. And so I think the largest social impact will come from employment opportunities. And it's a little bit of a community. One of the women that works in our factory is the wife of one of the farmers we get banana stem from. So it's all kind of a nice community where everybody's invested in helping this venture. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, I've got one. Love the presentation. Love the cheesy joke at the end. I think you get an extra point for that. What you've got here is a product that's so far superior to the typical way of making leather. And you could stop at that point and just say, we've done it. We've got something that's much more attractive in that sense. Why would you go that further mile and make it circular?
I think the industry is moving that way, and this can honestly be a great differentiator for us. So if we weren't looking at it from the point of view that we're all sustainability students, all studying industrial ecology, all breaking our head on this problem, apart from that, it's great business as well, because fashion brands need circular alternatives, and nobody today can make a circular bio-based leather. And so if we can do it, that would be a huge differentiator for us as well. That would definitely be a good business decision as well.
Why would it be a good business decision? What makes it that?
It's just that brands have committed to circularity. Majority of them have said by 2030, 2040, they've committed to these targets, and they aren't developing the materials to get them there. And if we are the ones that can do it, brands will have to work with materials like ours that can be circular and can be used.
Okay,
yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, judges, and fantastic work, Jinali and Team Banana Leather.